Are you pathetic, disappointing, embarrassing, or just flat out bad? Then you've probably made your way to the Voice of College Football Bottom 10. Welcome in, everyone. Please like the video and subscribe right here at the Voice of College Football. This is not a listing of the 10 worst teams in the country. No, this is just a fun list of teams that are bad, pathetic, embarrassing, disappointing for some particular reason. We start at number 10, a team that's 7-2. Embarrassing, pathetic. Pitt's got 2 straight losses. They were set up with an easy schedule. They had the ACC championship game right in their sights. Miami lost earlier in the day, and Pitt, with a date against Clemson next week, had the ACC championship game in their sights. They lost to Virginia 24-19. Virginia had lost 3 consecutive games. They had their quarterbacks knocked out the last 2 weeks. Eli Holstein and Nate Yarnell completed all of 4 of 12 passes. Yes, Pitt could have went to the ACC championship game. Now they need some serious help. They lost the previous week to SMU in embarrassing fashion. Forget the final score. It was 48-11 in the third quarter in their showdown in Dallas against SMU. At number 10 in our bottom 10, the worst 7-2 team possible, Pitt. If you've got a bad team in the SEC, you've got no chance. No chance to face a equally awful team. The odds are very low. And Mississippi State, you will probably go 0-4 2024 in the SEC. Mississippi State at number 9 on our list. Their last horrific season was back in 2006. This has been a good football program under the likes of Dan Mullen and Mike Leach in particular. The last time that this team went 0-8 in the SEC was 2002. They've got Missouri and Ole Miss left. They're 0-6 in the conference, 2-8 overall. They lost to Toledo by 24 points. SEC team lost to the Toledo Rockets by 24 points. They've lost 10 consecutive games in the SEC. Mississippi State, you are safely in our bottom 10 at number 9. It's a good thing Ole Miss didn't get trounced on Saturday night. The Magnolia State would be posting a trifecta in our bottom 10 here at the Voice of College Football, but it's bad enough because Southern Miss is awful. 1-8 with a win against Southeast Louisiana. The Golden Eagles have lost 10 consecutive games against FBS opponents. They have lost 17 of their last 20 games. Their passers have thrown 4 touchdowns this year against 13 interceptions. Those 8 FBS losses this year by 186 points at number 8 in our bottom 10, USM. 10 years ago, Stanford lived in the top 10. Now they live in nothing but the abyss of college football. 3 consecutive 3-9 seasons to complete their history in the Pac-12. They have transitioned their pathetic play to the ACC. All right, 10 of 11 losses against FBS teams. Stanford 2-7, 1-5 in the conference because Syracuse coach Fran Brown decided to hand them a win. Troy Taylor, head coach, said recently that our defense does nothing right. Nothing. They can't tackle, no pass rush, no nothing. We do nothing right. That's been Stanford football over the last 5 years. At number 7 on our bottom 10, the Cardinal. Stolen or not, according to Utah Athletic Director Mark Harlan, Utah should have won the game against BYU on Saturday night. They blew it. They blew their season. They blew any chance of redemption. The Utes are 4-5. In transitioning to the Big 12, they were the odds-on favorite to win the conference. And again, 4-5 following the latest travesty, a blown game against BYU. This team, to a certain extent, could have saved their season by defeating their worst, most hated enemy, BYU, in the Holy War. And they had this game in their grasp. BYU inside their own 5 with about a minute left in the game, and they had stopped them. They completely annihilated their offensive line. BYU could do nothing. The game was over. Final play. Boop! Flag on the field. Pass interference. There was a hold on the defensive back. All right, gave BYU new life right down the field, and Utah loses on the final play in the Holy War to fall to 4-5. Is 4-5 awful? If you're Utah and you were the favorite to win the Big 12, yes, it is. And losing the Holy War to BYU just caps it off this season for Kyle Whittingham and the Utes. At number 6 in our bottom 10, The Utes. We do Big Ten power rankings on a weekly basis right here at the Voice of College Football. And before I look at anything, the standings, the stats, any kind of information, I put Purdue at number 18. They are the worst team in the Big Ten by far. It's not even close. They have cemented that spot. They have played a little bit better in recent weeks. They should have closed out a win against Illinois. They lost in overtime 50-49. They could have closed out a win against Northwestern. They failed to do so. Otherwise, getting completely obliterated. Purdue's one win, an FCS win against Indiana State. Otherwise, being outscored 345-113 and 236-85 in the Big Ten. Blown out by Ohio State on Saturday in a ho-hum effort by the Buckeyes, 45-0. With Indiana and Michigan left, Purdue probably looking at 1-11 on this fine season. The Boilers, boiler up. You're in the bottom 10. Even good teams can show up in the bottom 10. Welcome LSU to spot number 4. Yes, the Bayou Bengals are a good football team. They're one of the 15 to 20 best teams in college football. However, they once again failed to show up in a showdown against Alabama, completely trounced by Jalen Milroe, who basically just kept running the ball. The running backs did not run or account for more than 3 yards per carry. Alabama didn't have to throw the ball downfield. They just ran Jalen Milroe over and over for 185 yards and 4 touchdowns in a 42-13 dismantling. LSU vying for a championship this year, or so they thought. Once again, did not show up against Bama. They are 4-12 against the Tide since 2007. This has become annually the biggest game in the SEC, and LSU once again fails to show up. At number 4 on our bottom 10, the Bayou Bengals. The Iowa offense used to be the mainstay in our bottom 10 right here at the Voice of College Football, but Brian Ferentz's dismissal ruined that distinction for the Hawkeyes. Now we look to Kent State. Yes, my alma mater. 0-9, typical Kent State football season. We posted a short a few months ago with this description of a college football program. Worst winning percentage of all time with these distinctions. 3 Hall of Fame head coaches with a combined 9 national championships, a 4-time Super Bowl winner, a Super Bowl MVP, and one of the top 3 receiving tight ends in the history of the NFL. Kent State outscored this season 414-136. They've lost 21 consecutive games to FBS opponents. They are 0-39 against the Power 5 since 2007 when they defeated Iowa State 23-14. Yes, they are a mainstay, a staple of pathetic play in college football throughout its history. So they are well placed in the bottom 10. Kent, I don't believe in the theory that coaches can be brilliant one season and dumb the next, but the results tell us that Mike Gundy did one of the best jobs in college football in 2023, and he's doing one of the worst this season. His Cowboys returning a 7th-year starting quarterback, Ollie Gordon, the nation's rushing champion in 2023, and a host of fine receivers, Deshaun Stribling, Brennan Presley, Rashad Owens. Oklahoma State went to the Big 12 championship game in 2023. All those guys came back to win a Big 12 championship with Oklahoma and Texas out of the way. They're 0-7 in the conference. Oklahoma State, their last 2 efforts, if that's what you want to call them, a 21-point loss to Arizona State and a 25-point beatdown to a marginal TCU team. At number 2 on our bottom 10 here at the Voice of College Football, the Pokes. And the number 1 place on our bottom 10 here at the Voice of College Football reserved for a slam dunk selection. This is a no-doubter. 12-0 regular season last year, of course. They marched on to 13 wins, an ACC championship. They came back as a top 10 preseason team. And can you find me the team, the program that is freefalled like Florida State in the history of college football? I cannot. The worst case scenario anyone could have dreamed might have been 6-6, 7-5 for Florida State. 1-9. They are number 132 in total offense, number 131 in rushing offense, dead last in college football, averaging 13.3 points per game. Their pass efficiency is 131. They've thrown 8 touchdowns against 13 interceptions. Thank you, DJ Uiagalelei, and now backups because he's been so bad. They've dismissed their transfer quarterback, and he just sits on the sidelines. They're coming off a 52-3 defeat and embarrassment to Notre Dame. 1-9, and now firing their offensive and defensive coordinators and also their wide receiver coach. Number one, no doubter, FSU. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Leave those comments and selections down below. Would love to hear maybe some other top 10 nominees or bottom 10 nominees for the top 10 worst in college football as we head toward a week 12 right here at the Voice of College Football.